Hi everyone, I'm Tex. I'm a grumpy old homestuck, and I did Terezi for Anna's Terezi. What was it? Equius stream? The other one.
Yeah, it was Terezi and Equius.
Hi, I'm Tev. This is my first stream. I volunteered like 3 hours ago because Anna needed a Jane, so I'm very happy to be here. I also run the Accessible Homestuck project. I'm making Homestuck accessible, so check it out if that's a thing that you're interested in finding out more about.
Oh, I should have mentioned I run the Homestuck the musical, maybe.
Yes, please
Yeah,
watch the Homestuck musical. It deserves
yourself.
so much more love.
Yeah.
Please.
Homestuck
Also,
musical needs a lot of
Sunslammer.
love.
Sunslammer is a slap.
Yes, hello. I'm CL, sometimes known as Stuck at Tome Tome, Capitan Lazar. I am a man of many names, and generally you'll find me Homestuck related doing stuff for Homestuck Abridged.
Okay.
It's a beautiful moonlit night on Alternia. The sky is clear, a cool breeze is blowing, and even the unbearable screeching of its steel-throated bat crickets sound a little sweeter than usual. And yet, a moment of panic hangs in the air.
Dave, are you okay? Hey! Oh god. What has she done? Dave? Please tell me that's just grub sauce. Please just be grub sauce, please just be grub sauce, please just be grub sauce, please just be grub sauce.
Carcat, stop being so melodramatic. It wasn't even me who did it. Ugh. Okay, fine, it was my fault. I admit it. But I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, Carcat. It's no biggie. I mean, this is obviously the shittiest situation I could possibly be in right now. And like, my lawyers will be in touch. Don't even think that they won't. But also, it is literally fucking grub sauce, so like, chill for 2 seconds, okay? Oh, thank God. Like, I know the idea of me having to swap out my soiled, ketchup-encrusted pants is getting you all hot and bothered under that sweater, but damn. This is a picnic, dude. There are children present.
And just like that, everything's alright. You have single-handedly revolutionized the art of picnicking on Alternia. You've got a huge checkered blanket, a car-sized wicker hamper, an unholy quantity of foods in Tupperware containers, a lively crowd of your best and most recently acquired friends, everything one could possibly need. Shit's quaint as all fuck out here. So, how many tentacles would you say she has roughly?
Let me see.
It's okay, take your time. My interest is, purely scientific. Yes, precisely. Thank you, Kanaya. This is part of my studies in the field of cryptozoology. It's hardly an exact science, but you can help us make it exacter.
Well, that's the problem. I really don't think there's a definite answer. She just has so many.
Fascinating. Everyone seems to be having a really good time. You're a pretty good picnic host, if you do say so yourself. You let yourself lie back on the blanket and relax.
Nepeta, could you pass me one of those beautiful green pies, please?
Oh, sure. Let me just...
It's okay, I got this. Dude, step off, Lamau. She didn't ask for your help.
Everyone's getting along so well.
Well, I didn't ask for your opinion on whether or not the mid-blood human female wanted my help or not. Oh my god, did you seriously just call her that? What is wrong with you?
Guys?
Humans don't even have different blood colors, you useless tool!
Simply enjoying one another's company.
Alright, that does it. I've had enough of this wishy-washy lawn meal nonsense. And I've had enough of you.
Oh, thanks, Nepeta.
No problem.
Eat, shit, and die. Why don't you make me? It would be my pleasure.
Wait, what's going on over there? Oh no, dear God, no, not now! This is a disaster! You've got to find some way to stop this before everything you've worked for collapses under the weight of pointless, shitty boy drama. You don't have a moment to lose.
What's better than this? Guys being allies.
Oh, hi there, Gamsey. Don't mind you, we're just trying to stop a picnic emergency.
Hey, hold on, sister. Let's not be hasty. Right now, we're witnessing the birth of the greatest, and dare I say, most righteous miracle of them all. Gender motherfucking equality. Honk.
And just like that, everything breaks apart. You wake up alone. It's a cold, dark night on Alternia. The sky is overcast. A harsh wind is blowing, and the only other sound to be heard is your own breathing. Panicked, shaky, you curl up a little tighter in your puddle of blankets in the corner. You try and think back to the wonderful dream you were having, but now it all seems ruined. You were only trying to take a short rest from fomenting a revolutionary sentiment among your peers and fixing all their problems, which, as it turns out, is a full-time job. You just wanted to indulge your imagination for a while and skip to the part where everyone's happy already. So there's nothing wrong with that, right? It all seems so real, so full of potential, like you could get there in an instant if only you tried a little harder. But now it hits you like a cold, wet circus pie, filled with cement. Your dream of hope was nothing more than that, with no basis in reality or accurate characterization. Some things are simply too good to be true, and your subconscious clearly knew that all along. It hurts, and you don't know whether to laugh, cry, or just get really, really angry about it. You've made some wonderful friends over the last few weeks. Months? It's been such a hectic whirlwind of nonstop amicability. You're not even sure how long you've been going. You've achieved so much on your quest, you know that for a fact. But now, looking around this empty room filled with the ghosts of memories from a lifetime ago, you can't help but feel despondent. Maybe there are some things you won't ever be able to fix. Man, this blows. For some reason, your thoughts turn to John. He was conspicuously absent from your dream. It feels like you haven't seen him for ages. You miss him. Without really thinking about it, you pick yourself up. You've had enough of this horrible planet for now. Your friends here will be all right without you for a while. You tell yourself that a few times just to make sure you believe it, and then... zap! You materialize in a pleasantly familiar suburban neighborhood, standing in front of a pleasantly familiar house. It must be late fall by now. There are barely any leaves left on the trees, and there's a chill in the air. But your heart fills with warmth at the prospect of hanging out with your old friend John again. While your newer friends have all been fun to spend time with in their own ways, you can't help but feel a special kind of fondness for John. It's not like you play favorites with your chums or anything, but maybe the fact that he was the first friend you met on your journey sets him apart from the others. It's nice to be back on Earth, too. You miss being able to go out in the sunshine. Your eyes wander a little, taking in the trees, the grass, the houses, before settling on the mailbox in the yard. A worrying thought occurs to you. Maybe, in getting so caught up with meeting so many new people, John has forgotten all about you. Surely your friendship wouldn't have diminished so quickly, but were you really all that close to begin with? You still feel bad about having thrown his birthday present in the sewer all that time ago. That was just such a shitty thing to do, in more ways than one. You were a really bad friend to John, before you were even friends with John. You're suddenly overcome with the urge to make it up to him. Instead of making a new friend today, why not try to be a better friend to the one you already have? Taking a peek at the mailbox, there seems to be something inside. Maybe, if you make absolutely sure to give it to him this time, that will start to make up for your earlier mistake. We're gonna pilfer the post. Yeah, that's an excellent idea. John will be so happy that the mail came with no mishap and so grateful that you, his trusted pal, were able to make it happen. Perhaps you could even pretend it's an apology gift you got for him? Wow, you've gotten so good at being a friend by now it's not even real. There's basically no way this plan can backfire. You reach a hand inside the mailbox to grab the package, and then everything goes dark. Backfired.
This is why you don't fuck with the mail, motherfuckers!
We are going to reconsider. On second thought, that's a terrible idea. Like, holy shit, that's bad. You take a moment to slap yourself around the face for a few minutes, just to rub it in. How could you be so stupid? This kind of depravity that leads one to desecrate the sanctity of a friend's mailbox is what got you into this mess in the first place. Oh, huh. Looks like the mailman forgot to put up the thing. The flappy wingy doodad, the bright red arm dealie on the side of the mailbox? You are quite certain that that thing is supposed to be up when there's mail to be retrieved. Even an idiot could tell you that much. And you are a first-rate idiot. You carefully raise the little red flag. Immediately, out of the corner of your eye, you spy movement in an upstairs window. It must be John, scoping out the mail again. Quick as a flash, you zap yourself out of sight and behind a nearby bush. A white cat is hanging out back here. It hisses at you, but you let a wave of crackling retcon energy dance around your palms, and the kitty vanishes. It literally just straight up disappears. That's okay, fine, whatever. It is a truth universally acknowledged that cats can do whatever the hell they want, except for taking this hiding spot, that is, which you have now commandeered in the name of friendship. Oh, this is a much better plan to surprise John. You can't believe you didn't think of it before. You know he loves pranks, and what better prank than to be ambushed by a dear friend? You hope that you're still his dear friend. Oh god, you're getting nervous again. You hear the front door open. Shoot, here he comes. Wait, this isn't John. Oh, goodness, no. Why, it appears to be some famous detective-type individual, or at least someone in a famous detective disguise. But what's more, you get the strange impression that the person underneath the disguise isn't John either. Whoever it is, they make a beeline for the mailbox. Oh shit, maybe you're watching another mailbox robbery in action. That would explain the need for a disguise, you guess. They reach out their hand. All of a sudden, several things race through your mind, unbidden. The smell of burning, a flash of light, pain. Without thinking, you spring into action. You grab the interloper and zap inside the house. You both materialize in midair and collapse in a heap on the floor. Outside, you hear the telltale sound of an exploding mailbox. Because for some reason, you know what those sound like. That was a close one.
Lordy, that smarts. What on earth just happened?
Your companion sits up in a bit of a daze. It looks like the disguise got knocked off in all the kerfuffle. Your hunch was right on the money. This is definitely not John Egbert. She does look oddly familiar, though. You take a look outside the window, down into the yard below. Yep, it's just like your ears told you. Where once there was a mailbox, there's now a smoldering wooden stump, surrounded by debris. It's a sight to bring a tear to any mailman's eye, fake or otherwise. You turn back around to find the stranger standing over you, looking thoroughly disgruntled. She's pointing a large red spoon directly at your chest. It doesn't really come off as all that threatening, you have to be honest. Although she could probably do you at least some form of injury with it. The injury likely wouldn't be all that serious, but you'd try to take it seriously anyway. Just to be polite.
Now hold on just one moment, Buster. Who are you, and what are you doing in my bedroom, and what in the blue blazes is going on? Come on, spit it out.
Oh, no, you hate being put on the spot. And the first question was such a tough one, too. Who are you? It's something you don't even have a definite answer to, even after all this time. Gosh, she does seem awfully confident with that spoon. You begin to entertain the thought that this girl might simply decide to beat you to death with it. You're finding it hard to think amid all the confusion. Didn't she say that this is her bedroom? You were dead certain this was John's house. It is John's house. It even has the tire swing and everything. And this girl? Who even is she? John never mentioned having a sister or anything before, but looking around the room, it's obvious that she lives here. And there's no trace of any of John's things. Did he move house without telling you? That thought makes you so impossibly sad.
Well, if you won't talk, I suppose I'll have to suss out the truth myself.
She looks at you very carefully for a moment before glancing over to one of the posters on the wall. It's a black and white picture of what looks like a daring group of detectives. They're drawn in a fairly minimal style with round ovoid heads. Immediately, her face lights up in recognition.
Oh, I see. Mum's the word.
She taps the side of her nose knowingly and winks. And you realize that she's trying to let you know that she knows something that you supposedly both know. But all you really know is that you have no idea what it is.
Oh, you're very good. Pretending not to know that which you know that I know that we both know?
No, you're telling her you haven't got the foggiest clue what she's talking about. Knowing stuff? How could anyone possibly accuse you of such a thing?
Oh, it's all right. I won't tell anyone. Keeping incognito is of the utmost importance for problem sleuths like us. Always a pleasure to meet a fellow fan.
She seems to be under the impression that you're some sort of cosplayer? Either that or an undercover agent of some sort. Oh, what the hell, you might as well roll with it. This will be easier than pretending to be a postal worker at any rate.
Hold on a moment. I've got just the thing for a fellow gentle person of taste.
She puts the spoon away for a moment, which is a relief, then whips out another copy of the poster and pen out of nowhere and signs it? You never met or heard of this girl before, and she's just straight up giving you her autograph? You take a look at the signature. The name reads Jane Crocker. Huh, you guess this girl's name is Jane then.
Now that we've got that out of the way, nice though it is to make your acquaintance, that doesn't explain what you're doing in my house. Or, come to think of it, how we even got here.
Well, it's all very simple, actually. Just a boring everyday example of an innocent bystander stepping in to save an unwitting teen from a parcel bomb with their zappy hell treasure powers. Nothing weird at all. You zap around the room a bit, by way of demonstration, ending back where you started.
Huh. Transportalization technology. I knew various competitors of ours had been developing something like that for a while, but I had no idea they were already doing field tests. Suppose it shouldn't surprise me. But a parcel bomb, you say?
You gesture out of the window at the sad, obliterated remains of the mailbox. There was nothing anyone could do to save it, or its contents. Oh, shoot. Jane wasn't expecting any extremely important deliveries, was she? Potentially in the form of a significant birthday gift or a copy of a mysterious computer game?
You mean the Spurb Alpha? I'm not surprised you've heard about it. That isn't due for another week, though.
Oh, well, that's a relief then. No harm done.
I wouldn't go quite that far. Alpha notwithstanding, the fact remains that someone tried to blow me up.
Okay, so some harm done. Gee, the nerve of some people. You cannot fathom who could possibly want to do such a thing, and especially to someone as harmless and personable as Jane here.
Oh, come on. One doesn't like to state the obvious, but if I had to guess, it's probably related to my being in line to inherit one of the largest corporations on the planet. Crocker Corp has its enemies, there's no question about that.
Oh, of course. That's why her surname was so familiar. Jane is the new face of the Betty Crocker Company. You don't know what you expected. Considering what's happened on your journey so far, you should have seen this sort of thing coming. Speaking of which, you wonder aloud if anything like this has ever happened before. The only thing that could have made this any more surprising is if Jane had been sent similarly life-threatening cargo on any previous occasions.
Oh, yes. Why, we got mailed something similar just last week, in fact.
You try not to think too hard about the fact that Jane apparently fell for the same exact trick 2 weeks in a row.
Father was out in the yard, about to take his car out back for a soak, when the blessed mailbox went up in smoke. It was quite the shock. Ever since then, he's been a bit antsy about me checking the mail by myself. But today it arrived while he was out. Good thing, too. He would have thrown a fit if he'd known. I'm barely allowed out of the house as it is. I'm sure he means well, but it can come off as a bit overprotective sometimes. It's plumb ridiculous. A grown lass full of vim and vigor can take perfectly good care of herself.
You don't want to pass hasty judgments on someone's familiar situation, but it sounds like Jane's father is just trying to keep her safe. It can't be easy, constantly deflecting death threats from someone determined to walk right into them. Where's her sense of self-preservation?
I suppose it might seem strange to the uninitiated, but you sort of learn to accept it after a while. I've been dodging death ever since I can remember. People seem really determined to do me, and I simply can't explain it.
Jesus. Wow, that must be pretty rough going. God, that sounds awful, actually. Being the imminent ruler of an empire must come with a fair number of people who want you gone. Thinking back to your encounter with Feferi, you suppose you were recently part of such an attempt yourself, in a manner of speaking. You decline to mention this to Jane, and being reminded of your time in Alternia causes you to lapse into an uncomfortable silence. Jane looks around a little awkwardly before breaking it.
So, not that I'm ungrateful for the fact that you appear to have rescued me from certain peril, but...
Oh, right, of course. You're intruding in a complete stranger's home. You've almost forgotten that this is the first time you and Jane have ever met. Your heart sinks as you consider that, between the vastness of the universe and the determination of those attempting to murder her, this might be the last time you ever meet as well. Jane offers to show you out. On the way downstairs, you politely ask her how long it's been since her family moved here. Does she know anyone called John who used to live in this house? She gives you a strange look, before gesturing to a, "Oh God, is that a corpse by the fireplace?" You take a moment to process the fact that Jane has a stuffed human person mounted on a plinth in her living room. She says it's her pop-pop, which you guess means grandfather. It's kind of hard to parse some of the vocabulary Jane uses sometimes. Anyway, the guy's name was John, and you can't help but see a resemblance to your good friend Egbert. You've encountered enough coincidences by now to know that this must be him somehow. You must have traveled forwards in time by accident, or some such. This is the only possible explanation. You try very hard not to have a whole mental breakdown about your apparently long-dead friend, but sadly not hard enough. However, at the sight of your various expressions of horror, shock, and confusion, Jane perks up considerably.
Did you know my dear old Pop-Pop? You should have said something! He was a popular fellow, so I suppose it was only a matter of time before one of his friends from his performing heydays came to visit.
That's right, Jane. Keep talking about him and your friendship in the past tense. This is totally helping you feel better. By which you mean to say, yes, Jane, you're absolutely right. You are an old, entertaining friend of her Pop-Pops who just so happened to be visiting the area in the middle of the, circus touring season? You try not to be too insulted when Jane eats the lie up without a moment's hesitation.
Well, if one of old Pop Crocker's pals is here, I suppose I can't just turn you out on the street like some nobody. And Papa would never forgive me for giving a family friend the cold shoulder. You simply must stay a while longer. I insist.
You cannot help but agree enthusiastically. And here you were thinking this volume was over before it really got started. Gee, this makes a nice change. You've grown accustomed to putting in a lot of hard work to score some hangout time with various people on your journey, but all it took to convince Jane was a pre-established connection with her apparently very wealthy relatives. It just goes to show you stuff.
I'm afraid I haven't fulfilled my duties as host very well so far, but I'm determined to change that starting now. But, what to do?
You've been playing the game of friendship long enough by now to sense an important decision approaching. You take a quick inventory of Jane's important character details, interests, and personality traits. She seems to have a passion for the lost art of sleuthing in famous detectives of years past. Her imminent inheritance of a baking conglomerate and expert spoon-wielding likely indicate that she knows her way around a cake or two as well. Why don't the two of you... You're going to practice some self-care. You know what? All this heavy stuff has been really getting to you recently. Christ, you left Alternia to get away from the hell-murdery nonsense, but if anything, it feels just as stressful back here on Earth with Jane. The adrenaline rush from the impromptu rescue is beginning to wear off, and your legs start to go all wobbly. You slump down against a wall, exhausted. Man, this really took a lot out of you.
Oh, gracious, are you alright?
Yeah, you just need a minute. Ugh, God, this is so weird and embarrassing. How come it's only once you were out of the bad situation that you stopped being able to cope with it? You try to pull yourself together, but then your stomach growls like an aggressive, hungry cat. Come to think of it, you haven't eaten anything you don't even know how long. Jane gives you a sympathetic, almost grandmotherly look.
Sounds like someone's hungry. You know, I was planning on baking something after taking care of the mail. Although I guess that, it took care of itself in the end. So, since Plan A seems to have gone up in a pillar of smoke, let's swiftly move on to Plan B. Fancy helping me whip a cake into submission? We can call it a thank you for saving my bacon back there.
Gosh, that sounds like a wonderful idea. You feel like you could eat a horse, or even better, a horse made out of cake. You can't remember the last time you had cake, in fact.
Oh. Now, if that isn't just about the saddest thing I've ever heard...
Jane sets you up with an apron and starts pulling ingredients and utensils out of various cupboards and drawers. Seeing the various colorful bags and boxes all lined up on the kitchen counter fills you with excitement. The idea of collaborating with Jane to make something delicious gets your heart racing. Surely there could be no better path for friendship than this. Once she seems sure that she's got everything you need, Jane fiddles with the oven for a few seconds.
Just need to set the oven to preheat. Okay, there we go. Now let's get cracking, shall we?
You look around expectantly, hoping to see a recipe book or similar amid the collection of baking equipment.
Oh no, we don't need one. My Junior Battermaster Bullbuster Stirring Solution 50,000 will do the trick just fine.
A passionate, burning fire seems to ignite in Jane's eyes as she brandishes her trusty red spoon. With a well-practiced motion, she adjusts a series of buttons and dials on the side, and a vaguely feminine robot voice begins to speak out of it. Triple chocolate layer cake, medium rare, begin regime. Jane nods to herself and presses another button. The voice begins listing off a series of ingredients and measurements. You guess this spoon must have a lot more tricks up its sleeve than you originally gave it credit for. Technology really is amazing. You begin to reach for the bag of flour, but with lightning speed, Jane leans over and grabs it herself. She doesn't even seem to notice that she has to bat your hand out of the way. Oh well, that's alright. Jane seems to know what she's doing, and you'd hate to spoil her fun. In the blink of an eye, she has the flour measured out and reaches for the butter. Appraised solidified bovine extract. You will comply. Jane continues her work in a thorough and efficient manner, and the spoon continues reading out instructions in a calm, steady voice. It's somewhat soothing, even if the choice of vocabulary is a bit strange. It certainly seems to be relaxing Jane. Her face was a picture of intense concentration, but now her eyes appear dim and distant. She could almost be asleep. You're just coming to terms with the idea that baking with Jane is a spectator sport rather than a teen game, when a sudden noise snaps her out of her trance.
Oh!
Her hand goes to her apron pocket, and she fishes out her phone. Something on the screen makes her face light up with gentle excitement. You think you catch a sight of something green, but she doesn't give you a good look at it.
I have to, take care of this?
Whatever it is, it seems to have gotten Jane into a bit of a tizzy all of a sudden. She thrusts the spoon in your direction.
Here. Just follow the directions. You can't go wrong.
This is all happening so fast. Being entrusted with Jane's precious spoon, and so early in your friendship? This must be a very great honor. She obviously believes in you a great deal. You try to assure Jane that you won't let her down, but she's already too engrossed in her phone to acknowledge it. You sigh to yourself knowingly. For all her antiquated phraseology and old-timey aesthetic, Jane is still a teen at heart. Add ingredients to vessel. Commence liquidation. Obey. Oh shit, you were caught up in being judgmental of a young person that you completely lost track of what you were doing, which was, dissolve desiccated cocoa in boiling water. Submit to your labor. Hey, hang on, just a moment. You barely managed to remember what the previous instruction was before the spoon moved on to the next step already. Oh god, what were the other ingredients you needed to add? You'd try to guess, but there are too many things on the counter and you don't know what half of them even are. You spare a glance at Jane, hoping against hope that she's noticed your plight, but she's far too distracted to help you right now. You'll just have to work it out by yourself. She's counting on you. Think, damn it, think! Fold cocoa paste into mixture. Make haste. The end is nigh. Eggs! You don't remember doing anything with eggs, but the spoon definitely called for something a while ago. In a blind panic, you grab one and toss it into the bowl. Only after you've stirred it into the mixture do you remember that it's generally best to remove the shell first. Pour cream into a small saucepan and heat over a low flame for a few minutes, ensuring that it does not boil or simmer. Once the cream is hot, remove the saucepan from the heat. Cease reproduction. The calm robot voice isn't soothing to you. Not anymore. Its dulcet tones have become your tormentor. It wouldn't be so bad if it would slow down for a moment. Is there a speed setting on this spoon? If you just had some more time to think. Are you sure you would like to start over? Wrong button. You can't go back. Not now. You cancel the prompt and grit your teeth in grim determination. You can fix this. You have to fix this. It's like Jane said all those minutes ago when she sent you on this quest. You can't go wrong. It's at this moment that your eyes land on the bag of sugar. The noticeably unopened bag of sugar. It's just sitting there, smirking at you, with a look of unbearable smugness to the colorful lettering on its face. Who, me? What could you possibly need me in a cake for? You tear the bag open and dump the entire contents into the mixing bowl with an ice-cold fury. Then you toss its gutted, lifeless husk into the garbage where it belongs. Revenge has never been sweeter.
Oh lordy, sorry to leave you in the lurch for so long. I had to deal with a friend in his daily moment of personal crisis. Although that's not really saying much. Quite frankly, most of his life seems to be one long personal crisis. And I suppose I'm hardly in any position to complain. I do so like his company at the end of the day. So anyway, the cake. How have you been managing?
You don't look up at Jane when she comes back over to you a few minutes later, seemingly oblivious to the devastation you've wrought on this poor kitchen. You stare down into the thick, lumpy batter, sitting in the bowl in front of you, and in that stodgy, curdled mess you cannot help but see yourself, a complete and utter failure.
Is everything alright?
You want to tell her, to explain that, no, Jane, everything is not alright. It's all gone to shit, but you can't look anywhere except down. You can feel the bottom falling out of this friendship opportunity like that of a poorly supported Victoria sponge. Once Jane gets a good look at this batter, it's game over. You know that, you just know it. As she peeks over your shoulder at your handiwork, you brace yourself for the dreadful moment you felt so many times before, across countless alternative selves and timelines. You watch for the telltale signs of a person deciding that, whatever pathetic and somehow yet unspecified creature you are, they don't want you in their life. But strangely enough, the moment never comes. Instead, Jane puts a hand lightly on your shoulder and gives you a gentle smile full of teeth.
There. No need to pull a face like that. So, yes, this ended up being a little bit of a misadventure, but it's not the end of the world.
But Jane was counting on you, and you let her down. You had something that needed to be fixed, and you couldn't manage it. As on so many other occasions during your journey, you only made things worse. You try to convince Jane of your guilt in this matter, but she simply shakes her head.
Oh, pshaw, you did nothing of the sort. You tried to make the best out of a bad and confusing ordeal, and nobody can blame you for that. Even if your best is, admittedly, a little suboptimal. But sometimes when things go wrong, it's not a simple case of being able to fix it by soldiering on blindly in the face of adversity. Sometimes the only way to set things right is to cut your losses and start over from the beginning. And that's not really the same as giving up.
You try with all your might to swallow the good advice Jane is serving you, but the look on your face must not be all that convincing. Jane sighs.
Look, I'm sorry for abandoning you in an unfamiliar situation. It wasn't very responsible, or leaderly, and it's certainly not becoming of a future president, corporate or otherwise.
You suppose that's true. You guess you can accept that this mess was a group effort. Even in failure, it's important to acknowledge the power of teamwork. All the same, you hand Jane's rosy red spoon back to her. You are not worthy of its solemn mantle. Besides, some of the stuff the robot voice said was beginning to seriously freak you out.
Honestly, it meant a lot to me that you were willing to indulge my little hobby for a while. It might be the career path I've been following my entire life, but you'd be surprised how little I get to talk about it with anyone I'm close to. Anyway, that wasn't the whole point that we were getting you something to eat as a thanks for saving my life.
Oh yeah, you guess you did do that. Heh, good job, you. Your chest puffs up instinctively a little with pride, but the motion causes your still empty stomach to make its presence felt again with a loud gurgle.
Speaking of which, we still need to take care of that. Letting a friend go hungry is completely unacceptable. So, how's giving it another try sound? Here's an idea. If you pick the recipe, I'll take care of the rest. I promise that I won't get distracted this time, alright?
Yeah, that sounds nice. Especially the part where Jane called you a friend. That was the nicest part of all. Cutting our losses.
Here, you can look up the recipe using this. I'd lend my phone to you, but, well, you know how it is with privacy.
Jane hands you what appears to be some sort of computerized tiara, stylishly cast in Crocker red plastic. You guess you just put it on? That's not too complicated. You've seen more peculiar user interfaces in your various travels across time and space, that's for sure. The device fits snugly on top of your head, despite your apparent lack of ears. You feel the unreal Eris Thoughtwave tiara top begin to mesh psychically with your own brain, as you are mentally hooked up to the limitless potential of the internet. Every facet of human knowledge is at your cognitive fingertips. Your mind is awash with 100,000 pictures of cats in silly poses. Wow. Jane is ready and waiting for your instructions. All you have to do is reach out. So you do. You begin to comb the web for something tasty, and you will surrender yourself, and you will cease reproduction, you will comply, and you will comply, and you will comply. Wait, what? All at once, something hits the inside of your skull and begins to ricochet around your synapses and neurons, seeming to fill every corner and crevice of your brain with a deafening wave of silent noise. A single instruction uttered with incalculable force, impossible to ignore. Obey. Your mind, so susceptible to outside influence, is no match for it. You feel a million sharp pains, as a million neural pathways are rearranged to form sharp angles and ordered lines and circuits, and in a blinding flash of light, her design overwhelms every part of me and consumes every atom of me, and then retransmits and amplifies the whole in concert with her will. And I cannot know any different, because this is all that I am, and it is so much more than I was. And I see her worthless protege's face twist in a look of horror at the sight of my transformation, but I do not spare her a second glance. As I look skywards, I am free of such concerns now. And in the eye of the mind that now belongs to her, I see the place I need to go, and I reach out with the power I stole, and I step forward into it. And in her throne room, I kneel beneath her smile, as she sets a course for everywhere. There are problems in this universe that require our attention. And I, her new weapon, smile too. We're going to fix everything. Worst end.
Worst end.
We are
Not
going
right
to
now.
solve a mystery. It's been bothering you for a while, but for someone who claims to follow in the footsteps of the very gutsiest of gumshoes, Jane seems pretty unmotivated to find out who's been trying to murder her all these years. Perhaps you should use the means at your disposal to finally put this mystery to rest, once and for all. You suggest to Jane that maybe you should try to ascertain who the parcel was sent by.
By whom the parcel was sent?
What?
Grammar is silly. It's very important.
Oh, of course. You suppose that you agree with that? After all, this is a text-based medium, and shoddy craftsmanship can only ever obscure information. Proper adherence to linguistic conventions is of the utmost importance, ensuring the conveyance of salient details in a timely and comprehensible manner. But damn it, Jane, now isn't the time. You've got a case to solve.
Yes, all right, but what exactly are you proposing that we do? There's very little evidence that we could feasibly collect.
The two of you look forlornly out of the window again, down to where the mailbox should be. Jane is right. That avenue of investigation went up in smoke a few minutes ago. The investigation has barely gotten started, and the trail has already gone cold in a blazing ball of fire.
I'd suggest asking at the mail office or similar, but I don't suppose they'd know anything detailed about the package's origins. It's not like the regular mail workers have access to that kind of information. To make matters worse, the mail is one of the few public services Crocker Corp doesn't partially own, so I wouldn't be able to pull any strings. I don't suppose there was anyone watching at the time the bomb was placed either.
You have to admit, the possibility seems somewhat remote, but that gives you an idea. If there aren't any witnesses to hand, why not make some yourselves?
What, bribe someone to falsify testimony or similar? That's certainly a novel way of going about it.
Jane seems to be giving it a lot more thought than you would have expected, but in any case, that wasn't at all what you meant. You explained to Jane that, far from merely being able to transportalize between any two physical locations, you also possess the ability to time travelificate to any point in the past or future.
Not to be rude, considering that you did just save my life and everything, but that does sound more than a little far-fetched.
Jane seems pretty skeptical about this, but you honestly can't be bothered to work through all of her personal misgivings about belief in the feasibility of time travel right now. You've been through this with more than a dozen people already. You decide to take a more proactive approach, and seeing is believing after all. You grab her wrist and zap back in time. Jane, meet past Jane. Jane, meet future Jane. You trust that this will suffice as evidence.
I don't...
Alright, moving on. You appear fine next to the bush that you hid behind earlier and take refuge in it once again. A conveniently abandoned wristwatch on the ground nearby indicates that you've traveled an hour into the past. No sign of the white cat yet? The mailbox is there in all of its beautiful, unexploded majesty, but stands empty as of right now. This is perfect! All you have to do now is wait for the truth to come to you. See, Jane? Isn't this exciting? Jane?
911, what's your emergency? Please note that misplaced apostrophes on shop signs do not constitute an emergency.
Lalonde? Help! I'm stuck in the past!
Lamau, yes. What did that tipped you off? Was it the fact that nobody else talks like it's the 1920s?
What? No, I mean this entirely literally. I am quite literally stuck in the past in a temporal sense.
Oh my god, wait, really? Who told you that? Was it TT? I bet it was TT. Yanking my thunder, GDI. Strider!
No, you're not listening to me. I've been transported back in time by a mysterious entity who recently saved my life from yet another ridiculous assassination attempt.
Okay. Damn, false alarm. IG. Wait, GCAT can time travel now?
No, this is a different mysterious entity! They don't seem to be related to the Godcat as far as I can tell. They rescued me from a parcel bomb in the mailbox a short while ago and have since taken it upon themselves to help me find out who was responsible. They're remarkably enthusiastic about the issue, almost as if it were their civic duty somehow.
So... a number of mysterious abilities. Intimate knowledge of mail safety. And a compulsion to aid random citizens? Are you sure this person isn't just your mailman, Janie? I mean, who knows what kind of magic those little guys can pull off?
I'm pretty certain they have absolutely nothing to do with the profession of mail delivery in any practical sense. Anyway, the point is, we're now an hour in the past from our perspective, waiting for the perpetrator to place a bomb that not a few minutes ago threatened to blow me to kingdom come! It's all a bit much to take in.
Wow, shucks, Buster.
Shucks Buster, indeed.
While Jane has busied herself with something on her phone, you've been keeping a lookout for anything suspicious. So far, nothing has happened, but now, just out of sight, you hear the telltale sound of a vehicle approaching. You quickly, gently elbow Jane in the ribs to get her attention, and the two of you peek your heads tentatively out of the bush. You watch as an unassuming van pulls up outside the house. You keep watching as an unremarkable person gets out and carries a small pile of mail over to the mailbox, totally unsuspiciously. From this distance, you can't really make out anything about them at all. This isn't nearly as helpful or informative as you'd hoped.
This is no good. We can't see anything from all the way over here. I think we might have to resort to one of the more advanced tactics in every detective's arsenal. I propose that we accost this delivery worker, tie them up, then scrupulously interrogate them for any information they might have.
You guess that would work? Jane seems remarkably unconcerned with the ethical qualms inherent in assaulting a public servant, and at some point you would have found this extremely alarming, but after a few months on Alternia, you are so accustomed to this kind of thing that the thought of actually disagreeing doesn't even occur to you. Jane gets in position to lead the charge. You reach your hand into a tear in reality, rummage around for a moment, and retrieve a long length of rope from somewhere in Terezi's hive. Hopefully she won't miss it. You mutter a quick prayer of apology to the guardian deities of mail workers everywhere, and then...
Now!
The two of you leap from your hiding spot and tackle the hapless stranger as they are just about to climb back into the van.
Have at you!
Jane is brandishing her trusty spoon as threateningly as any sword. The poor defenseless postman is taken completely by surprise and topples to the ground. You quickly tie their arms and legs, and then, zap, all three of you back out of sight behind the bushes again. Then, Jane sets to work. She fixes your captive with a cast-iron stare, and with ruthless efficiency, begins to rattle off a relentless stream of astute and insightful questions. Her tongue is like a whip, beating her quarry into submission. You watch in silent horror as she verbally dismantles this unfortunate soul, piece by fearful piece. It's like watching a dozen interrogation scenes from a dozen gritty crime dramas and noir detective flicks all at once. She pretends to smoke an invisible cigar at one point, seemingly without noticing at all. You don't even have words for what she does with the spoon. When Jane finally pauses to catch her breath, the nameless and faceless courier manages to choke out a few words and spill the beans. It's a scant few beans, you are sorry to say. They say they don't know much. Hell, with the dame roughing them up like that, they can't even remember their own name. But they do remember the mysterious package, marked "Handle with Care," and addressed to the Crocker residence. They say they remember thinking there was nowhere else the package could have been headed. With a surname like that, it's only fitting, you know, with that big red spoon on the side of the box and everything. Jane doesn't say anything else. She just stands up and unties the prisoner. They're free to go. You flash them a look, which you hope says something like, "I'm sorry for helping this distressed teenager tie you up in order to satisfy her curiosity, and I appreciate your ongoing public service, but you've never been great at nonverbal communication." A notification rings out from Jane's phone. Perhaps chatting to a friend in this trying time will offer her some comfort? You wander a short distance away, allowing Jane some space to process what happened. You've learned the hard way that privacy is a fundamental right and should always be respected.
How goes the investigation? Did you threaten a retail worker or something yet? OMG, Janie, you did, didn't you? GDI, we've talked about this. Jane, are you okay?
No. I can't believe that I'm typing this. The company. My company. It appears that they were the ones who sent the bomb.
Okay,
You were right about them, I suppose.
You're being serious right now? You're not, like, pranking me super hard for the megalols.
No, of course not. Hardly in a joking mood.
Oh my god. Jane, this is great!
What?
You finally pulled through! The bada bitch had the wool over your eyes by no more. I'm so happy!
What? No, this is awful!
Oh, right, of course, I meant that.
Will you please just stop talking for a second?
I
can't think with your endless, ruddy face blithering all the time. I nearly died for the umpteenth time this morning, but survived, only to have my entire worldview start to collapse before my very eyes by some way of mysterious, magic, time travel! Jeez Louise, this is easy for you. In fact, this must be Christmas and birthday come early for all three of you. You finally got what you wanted, which was to prove me wrong. Your insane collective conspiracy about my entire life being part of some evil plot looks like it might just hold water after all. Congratulations, go on, say that you told me so. Here, I'll even type it out for you to copy and paste so you don't have to worry about any more shit-faced spelling errors. I told you so. No?
I'm not really sure what to say. You're kind of scaring me.
I'm sorry. This is scaring me too.
Jane sighs. You guess the conversation must be taking a turn for the heavy, but you can't say for sure. You're feeling good about your decision not to pry into this private discussion. It would truly be some kind of fucked up to intrude at such a vulnerable moment, when people are rarely seen at their best.
It feels as though I'm I'm in the middle of an ocean. Scratch that. It feels like my whole world is an ocean. Something so immense, so dark, so vast and deep that I can't even begin to imagine what might be beneath the surface. Everything that I have ever known, everything that I have ever been, is sinking down into it and vanishing with nary a trace, and my only solace is to jump of my own volition before I'm pulled under by force. And what, is someone gonna catch me and help me stay afloat? The only float my best friend in the whole world has any familiarity with is flipping cocktails!
Oh my god. Jane, I know you're, like, being kind of mean and exasperated right now, but it means a lot to hear that I'm your best friend. I love you. Heart.
Chill out, please. I'm only trying to express the depths of my existential confusion over here. The ocean, Lalonde. The abyssal, infinite ocean. Can you even imagine what that's like? Oh, on second thought, never mind. This whole analogy is contrived and nonsensical and couldn't possibly have emotional relevance to anyone.
Another sigh.
God, I'm sorry. I'm not handling this well at all.
I mean, to be honest, no. But let's be real. I don't know what precise arrangement of emotional responses would even realistically qualify as quite handling this whale. Fish pun for topic appropriateness. Like, I get it. I had like this whole plan for how I get to you to accept the truth. And it would have worked because, let's be real, I'm a fucking genius. But also, I'm pretty sure that it would have involved blowing up a whole bunch more shit. Or at least mega escapades.
How about shenanigans?
Oh, you know it. Shenanigans out the ass. The point is, I knew that it would be hard. Maybe hazardous to our relationship and or your physical health. But I knew that you were worth it. And also, for what tip's worth. I don't give an effing fuck about dunking on your ass. None of us do.
With a third and final huff, Jane slumps down on the ground, visibly deflated. All the tempest and fury has gone out of her, and now she's just sitting and gazing glumly at the wall of bubblegum pink on her screen. She seems utterly miserable. You want to comfort her, to offer solace and friendly counsel in this trying time. There comes a moment in every teen's upbringing when she realizes that the globe-spanning multi-billion-dollar corporation which is her birthright has also been responsible for some petty, shady, and heinous nonsense, including multiple attempts on her own life. It's just part of growing up. But somehow, you just can't find the words, and maybe it's not your place to comment anyway. Before you can think of something to say, Jane shakes her head and starts typing again.
Alright. That's enough sitting around feeling all forlorn.
I'm feeling pretty okay, actually.
No, me. I'm talking about myself. This new reality is one that I simply have to accept, whether I like it or not, and it's no good being glum about it, especially not if it leads me to mistreat my nearest and dearest. So, I'm not gonna be the leader of a worldwide megacorporation. Big deal. There are better things to be applying my savvy towards. The friends who have my back, for instance.
Oh my god, Janie, I'm loving this new enthusiasm.
I understand I've been remiss in my duties as of late, but that ends now. Where once I had a duty to my heritage, now I have a duty to those who care about me. The call of leadership comes from elsewhere.
Oh my god, yes! These words you're typing! Meaningful and full of poignancy.
Jane strikes a pose that looks at once determined, bold, fearless, and resolute, and all while still typing furiously away on her mobile. It just goes to show how hard she must have trained for a moment like this.
And so, for my first act as a responsible friend with eyes unclouded by the sugary haze of a manipulative baking empire, I say that it ends here. The game which we've been pawns in for years stops today.
Yes! Hell yeah! Yes.
I think I've rather gone off the idea of games altogether, haven't you? Specifically, the game.
Hell fucking yeah. Wait, what?
The Alpha. I've decided that I'm not going to participate. It's a Crocker Corp product, and it's clearly part of some grand evil scheme or another. It'd be positively suicidal to consider playing it at this point.
Well, yes, but...
But what? There's no doubt in my mind about it. Furthermore, as your friend, and as one recently reminded of the duty of care in this regard, I feel like I should strongly advise against any of us playing it. Or anyone at all, for that matter. Now that I think about it, it's our solemn responsibility to ensure that nobody ever gets their hand on this game. Just imagine the havoc it could wreak. We've got 1 week before the alpha is due to release. I'm certain we can think up some nefarious schemes to disrupt it in the meantime, if we work together, as a team. I trust I'll be able to count on your hacker skills, SIC, in this endeavor.
Sure. Completely accidental lack of excitement. My 6 skills are yours to command.
I knew it. You're the best BFFC one could hope for. Art.
Jane clears her throat, pockets her phone, and seems to have reached some kind of conclusion. That chat looked, from the outside, like it was one huge emotional journey from start to finish. You're glad that Jane seems to be feeling better for having had it, whatever they ended up talking about. Sometimes, all you need is a friend to vent things towards in a healthy and productive manner.
I suppose I should thank you again. Without your help, I may never have learned the truth. It's quite possibly I would have lived out the rest of my potentially very short life without another opportunity to see things for what they really were. I don't know how I shall ever repay you.
Since nothing today has changed the fact that Jane is ludicrously wealthy, you can think of a great number of ways she could feasibly repay you, but that might be pushing it a little too far all at once. So instead, you effortlessly spin some yarn about this being what friends are for, and so on. It's a speech you've given many, many times before.
I've depended on you for a great deal, but now I think it's time to forge my own path and under my own steam. I'll show the world what Jane Crocker can accomplish with naught but her 2 bare hands. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an existential crisis to avert.
Existential crisis.